Welcome back to the warm up, everybody. We are live on this Wednesday evening. I'm your host, Ja. Today we got Ben with us, our co-host, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But before we get into it, please leave a comment below. Let us your thoughts on everything going on in NBA. We're about to get into the Giannis rumors going on, what happened tonight with Giannis and the Bucks all around. So I can't wait. How you doing, Ben?
Doing great, man. Good to be back. Today was definitely an interesting day in the sports world, especially for the NBA. Yeah, excited to break it down and talk about it.
I think for me, like today's just one of those days you have to remind yourself that the NBA at itself is just like a crazy, like 24/7, 365. Like whatever you think will happen, it probably won't happen. And the unexpected just continues that just happen. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think when I got the alert, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I was just like, oh, like here we go, the pot's stirring, and it's only December 3rd, which
Yeah.
means we're gonna have to listen to this either till the day he gets traded or right up until the deadline. So,
Yeah.
um, one quick thing, if you're in here watching, feel free to leave comments, ask questions, let us know if there's any issues with the stream. We'll try and get those fixed. We're working with some new tech tonight. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Give me your just first initial thoughts on what we could be seeing during these next couple of months, Ja.
Um, yeah, let's for me, so if you guys didn't know, Giannis kind of requested a trade today. He didn't request a trade. He said they're going to explore. This tweet right here on the screen shows that him and his agent are going to work with the Bucks organization to see what they could do. Um, for me, like from this morning when Brian Windhorst was talking and he said, "Oh, he had requested a trade during the summer." And before the season started, and then that didn't happen, and he didn't get traded, obviously. And now we're 20-ish games into the season, 25 games, and here we are. He's fed up. He's over it with the team, and it leads you to wonder, like, was this like a 25 game like thing he had? Was he feeling the Bucks out and where they would be at? If that's the case, it kind of sucks because he was out for most of it. But I think that loss to the Wizards just was his last straw. He realized that this team can't win a championship. Time and time again, he's talked about how he wants to win a championship. He loves the city of Milwaukee, but I think he's finally realizing, like, hey, I really don't think I could win another championship here, which is unfortunate for Bucks fans, but that's the sad reality. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think usually whenever a player is in this position where, they're not really sure about their future, that's a clear indication that the end is near. I really don't see like a long term fit in Milwaukee for Giannis. One thing I explained in our season outlook video for the Bucks to Bucks fans was I said, prepare yourself for the reality that something like this is coming. I honestly didn't think it would be this soon,
Yeah.
but this is the unfortunate reality of the place that they've put themselves in, not just with Giannis, having these injuries or being frustrated with where things are in Milwaukee, but also, the amount of veterans that's on their roster, having to stretch Damian Lillard's contract, trading him away, adding Miles Turner. Some of the moves that were made by the organization just weren't that great, in my opinion. So this is kind of where I thought, this was going to go. But looking at this for Giannis, this is a very interesting situation because he has a lot more power here than people think. I think there's a scenario in which Giannis could look at his agent and say, I want to go play here, only talk to
Mm-hmm.
this team and go
Yeah.
forward. I also think there's a situation where they canvass the league and the Bucks try to get the best option and they go against representation. I really don't know what's going to happen here,
Yeah.
but I think you and I can both safely admit that all 30 teams should be lining up for a guy who averages 30,
Yeah.
any day of the week. So, yeah, well, that's kind of my early initial thoughts.
Yeah. And like for me too, it's like I feel like Giannis will have a say where he wants to go just because he is one of those top echelon, top four players, top three players in the league. Before he got hurt, he was probably the leading case for the MVP, which is saying something because between him, Shea, Jokic, and Luka, they've all came out with hot starts to begin the season. This is a guy that still has 2 years left on his deal. won't be a free agent until 2027. So yes, the Bucks don't have to do right by Giannis and send him where he wants to go, but I do think they will do right by Giannis just because they did right by Dame. Dame asked to be stretched and released, and if they're gonna do right by Dame, you have to do right by Giannis, and it looks better
Absolutely.
too long term for any
Hmm.
other potential superstars you might want to get or upcoming superstars. They could look at this like, oh, the Bucks, if it doesn't go good, they'll do right by me. So from that standpoint, let's talk about where the Bucks stand now. Like, how did we get here? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
think it's very important to like. I think it started the beginning of last postseason. Unfortunately, Dame tears his Achilles, and then they're in the summer, and then we're in the summer, and we really didn't. They didn't have a lot of room to make it roster improvements, and then they all obviously had the big roster move where they waived and stretched Dame, ended up signing Miles Turner, and then they kind of just brought back everybody else on smaller deals, which a lot of people loved at the time. But at the same time, you just brought the same team back. You brought in a center, or you dropped the guy that was averaging 25 and whatever for a guy that
Yeah.
hasn't had a double double all but 3 times this year. So from a talent standpoint, they got worse. But then the season starts. They don't look amazing, but they look a lot better than I think fans realized and or anticipated. And then Giannis gets hurt, and they're on this 9 game losing streak. So
Yeah. I remember like before the losing streak, the Bucks played a game in Dallas, and I remember from that game like thinking, okay, the Bucks like look really decent. They had Green shooting on the outside. They had
mhm,
Giannis in the paint. Miles Turner was doing his thing, and I looked at this team and I was like, okay, this could potentially work. And
yeah,
then Giannis goes down with that injury, and then the losses pile up. Then he comes back, and they still lose. I think the nail in the coffin was honestly blowing that lead to the Washington Wizards
yeah,
in that game the other night. Um, but yeah, I think it's very similar to a lot of other teams that have superstars. These teams are built around them, which means they sacrifice draft capital in order to do so. And
mhm,
Milwaukee's another classic case. They only control their picks in 2031 and 32. So as a result, you're left high and dry. You also don't have a very good roster outside of him. You've got a lot of veterans, not a lot of young talent,
mhm,
um, which means you're kind of stuck. So they've put themselves here with the expectation that Giannis is going to be their franchise cornerstone no matter what. But unfortunately, he wants to win. So
yeah,
it's not unfortunately he wants to win, but unfortunately for them, Giannis wants to win.
yeah,
So I respect it on his end. I know that like Giannis has said before that he wants to be in a big market. So I highly
yep,
anticipate that wherever he goes will be exactly that. So let's kind of get into that real quick. We'll go ahead and answer Kalen Phillips' question here. What teams do you think Giannis could potentially go to? Now, anybody who's watching right now, feel free to just drop the team that you think Giannis would go to, or maybe an interesting location, and we will go ahead and talk about that as well.
yeah,
But Ja, I'll let you go with your first pick. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but take it
yeah.
away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the obvious pick here is the New York Knicks. Now, the New York Knicks are right up against the second apron, so it gets a little bit hard when we're talking about deals. I think when we're looking for the framework of the trade, depending on how soon Giannis wants to get traded, players like Mikal Bridges, he extended late, so he can't get traded till like February 3rd, which is like 3 days before the trade deadline. And
Mm,
then you have like the basic framework, which I think a lot of people have seen to this point, is OG Anunoby and Cat. But
mm,
then you got to kind of ask yourself, if you're the Bucks, why do you want Cat? He doesn't fit with Miles Turner, or he could fit with Miles Turner. It's a different fit, but you got to ask yourself, what do you want to get from a deal? And I think for the Bucks, if I'm them, I don't hate getting OG Anunoby because I think you could reflip him and get more of the draft capital that you're looking for. I think the initial Giannis trade will be more high level players with like a couple firsts and more swaps if it is the New York Knicks. But what's your thoughts on like the Knicks? Should they even go for it? Because I know like a lot of people like you had them winning the chip and they came out not as hot as people thought. And yeah,
yeah, I first off, everybody I talked to around me was looking at me like I was a complete idiot for picking the Knicks to win the championship. And you know what? I respect it.
Yeah.
I'll say it. Interesting pick. But I do remember specifically, I did say we talked about the Giannis trade on the Knicks Outlook video. And one thing I said was this. I said, if you are a Knicks team that is kind of fringe 4-5 territory and
Mm-hmm.
you want to make a move to say, hey, we want to solidify ourselves as the best team in the Eastern Conference and we want to go win a championship this year, this is an obvious move you need to make.
Right.
But if you're sitting at the 1 seed, which they're not, but like there's still a lot of time, but if by February you're sitting at the 1 seed and you're riding a really big hot streak and you're just tearing the NBA up and you're riding high, then I'd be like, okay, possibly, because it's a big risk. Because if you pull off this trade, you're going to have to give up probably 2 starters, a lot of draft picks, which
Mm-hmm.
you already threw out 5 for Mikal
Yeah,
Bridges.
they don't got
So
a lot to work with.
I don't think Bridges gets dealt whatsoever,
Yeah.
even if he's available post February 3rd. Yeah, I do think you're right. I think it's OG and I think Cat is the centerpiece. That makes a lot of sense to me. The question is, would Milwaukee even be interested in such a deal? I mean, if I was the Bucks, I would be canvassing the league for as many picks as I can get.
Mm-hmm.
That is just me personally, because if you're seeing guys like Desmond Bane go for 4 or Mikal go for 5,
Mm-hmm.
like imagine what you can get for Giannis if you don't
Yeah.
get like a star caliber player in return. If you just get some role guys, some young
Right.
rising guys, and a bunch of picks, I can't even imagine. So it's like I look at it from that perspective, but it's a big risk. It's all about timing and situation. So I look at it from that perspective and say, look, I'm not against it. Believe me, I'm not. Like if it's the right deal, the Knicks are going to be the best team in the East instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pairing Jalen Brunson, McCall, hopefully, and Giannis together. Not to
Mm-hmm.
mention they also solidified their core off the bench this season with the additions of Jordan Clarkson. Even Landry Shamet has had a few good games.
Yeah.
Just guys that can go in and bring solid shooting off the bench, which was something they lacked last season because they were so top heavy. But yeah, that's what I'll say. It's all about situation, but like I'm kind of like 50-50 split on it.
Yeah. I mean, just to add on to that, I think my favorite trade for Giannis is any team where he stays in the East. But like for a championship aspirations, I think the Knicks is the best team. Um, when you're building a team around Giannis, there's not too many centers that actually fit with Giannis. Just being like a shoot popping big. But if I am the Knicks and I really want to get Giannis, I think I'm gonna dabble at the idea of also taking Miles Turner. Because as great as Cat is for the Knicks,
Hmm.
if Cat's gone off that Knicks and you add Giannis, that's a lot of shooting that they're losing. So why not just go fully in, try to take Miles Turner off their hands and just make a big deal and like really go all in? Because I hate because who are you going to start at center? Mitchell Robinson and Giannis? Like I hate that. I
Yeah,
hate that
no.
because I don't want Giannis playing the 5 every night. I want him closing the 5 potentially, yeah, but I don't want him running the 5, especially because he is getting older. Um, do they try to get Kuzma involved? Because Kuzma has $22 million that I would assume the
Yeah.
Bucks don't want.
Yeah.
So it's just a
Yeah,
lot of
really.
questions you got to ask yourself. Like when you're building this team around Giannis, what has worked? We know that
Hmm.
shooting big with defensive paralysis and rim protection has worked. We know that defensive guard that could score has worked. You know what I mean? So like the Knicks need to ask themselves, if we do this trade, which I think they should anyway. Like we're talking about arguably a top 3 power forward of all time who's at the kind of middle of his prime. Like I say, you just do the trade and you figure the rest out later. Like it might not be this year, it might be next year. You know what I mean? Like it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like players like this don't come around that often. And yeah,
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point you bring up with the Mitchell Robinson part of it. Now that I think about that, yeah, I would under no circumstance want those two to start next to each other. So yeah, I think you have to figure something out there. If we're looking at like what works for Giannis, Look no further than their championship team. I think the biggest thing for them, Giannis has proven he can thrive next to a stretch big
Mm-hmm.
because him and Brooke did it for so many years. But one of the biggest things that he needs is a lob threat point guard and also a defensive point guard. That's what
Mm-hmm.
made that Bucks team so special, was because of Drew Holiday's two-way ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're New York, obviously you have Jalen Brunson. I think that's a great fit. I
Mm-hmm.
think those two would be great together. The question with the Knicks, even now, is always defense.
Yeah.
Brunson lacks that. Karl Anthony Towns, you know, kind of. OG and McCall probably two of the best wing defenders in the NBA. But you got to defend the paint, and you got to get out on the perimeter
Yeah.
with all five. So Giannis will make them instantly better on defense. But you have to question, like you said, that center position, because Mitchell Robinson is not a stretch big at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they brought in Miles Turner, because of the ability for him to stretch the floor and shoot the three. So I actually do like that. If Milwaukee just wants to say, forget it, we're just going to blow it up,
Yeah.
you could try and go get Miles, but it's going to cost you even more. So
Yeah.
you'd probably have to do Karl Anthony Towns, OG,
Mm-hmm.
probably Josh Hart, I
Yeah.
would assume. I just
Yeah.
don't. I like, I'm not an expert. I just don't see them giving up Mikal Bridges. I just don't
Yeah.
see it. You'd probably have to get those three, and
Mm-hmm.
then a boatload of picks. I
Yeah.
don't exactly know what the Knicks have on that front, but it would take a lot.
Yeah, because if Giannis does get traded, I think the question is, I do think Miles Turner is somebody that will get traded as well. Just because whatever Milwaukee will try to do, it probably won't end up working just because you lost Giannis. Like, you're not replacing that. And so why not a team that doesn't have a lot of draft picks, has traded them all away, try to get some draft capital back for a big that you smartly signed this offseason. You know what I mean? Especially because if you're not going to go anywhere, get off players like Miles Turner, Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis. Um, Keep Ryan Rollins, but if somebody offers you something crazy, don't be opposed to it. Really be open minded when it comes to this trade, because if Giannis is off the team, this is a big, big deal, a big restart. Because the last time the Bucks were relevant before Giannis was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's about 40 years ago. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like, stuff like players like this in Milwaukee don't. It's not an LA. It's not a Miami where these teams are constantly getting stars. Like, this is a once in a generational type player that Milwaukee gets. So gotta make the
yeah.
most of it.
I think that's the most unfortunate part, not just for the city of Milwaukee, but for their fans, is because if you lose a player like Giannis, the only way that you're going to get another generational superstar is if you get lucky in the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen a lot of teams do that, obviously. I mean, we saw Cleveland run the table a few years back and get Kyrie. We
Yeah.
saw the Mavs get Cooper Flag last year. You know, there's also gold. There's also, like, there's also guys that can end up at those, 2, 3, 4 spots that could also be generational. But it's like that requires extreme losing, and it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's not like the NFL where you just, like, you end the season and that's where your pick is. You got to go through a lottery process, and it's luck of the draw. So that's the most unfortunate thing for them.
Yeah.
The market is just small. It's really unfortunate, but you just can't compete with that. So you just have to make sure you set yourself up for success in the future.
Yeah.
Don't do a trade that's going to have you stuck. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We got a few more comments here. Our good buddy Dolan says Giannis and Andre Jackson to Atlanta for Trey, Ricochet, Newell, and the unprotected Pelicans pick this year.
Uh, if I'm the Bucks, this is a home run trade. Especially because this unprotected pick could be the number one pick this year. So yes, it'll be sad that you lost Giannis, but this will be the first time that they would get a potentially top. Well, how would that work? Because isn't the pick?
He's edited it. It now includes Thanasis as well. So,
Well,
because wherever he goes.
isn't this pick with the Pelicans? Isn't it the worst of the Bucks and the Pelicans? So it'd be technically the Pelican or the Bucks own their pick, or
This
it
is the
could be the
pick from the Murray trade, correct?
no. This is the pick from the Patrick Queen deal, I think.
Ooh,
I think
we
this
might.
is the Patrick
Yeah,
Queen
yeah. We
deal.
need to fact check that. That's an interesting point, honestly.
Because that pick with the Patrick Queen is the worst pick, or it's the better pick of the Bucks and Pelicans. But if the
Mhm.
Bucks own that, does that automatically mean that they could potentially have, like, if they're bad, right? If they're really bad and the Pelicans are really bad, and let's say the Pelicans got the number 1, but the Bucks had the number 4 pick, that means they would have the 1 and 4 pick, right?
I th-
I think so.
I think so.
If that's the pick,
Dolan, if we're wrong, go ahead and correct us or fact check that.
yeah,
But from a pure player perspective, I mean, like that's a very good trade.
yeah,
Getting a 2 years removed number 1 overall pick, Trae Young and Newell, who's a really bright star. I mean, like you can't really ask for anything better than that. I mean, like I would do that trade in a heartbeat if I was Milwaukee. I think that's a great deal.
yeah,
I think honestly, if Milwaukee's going to do that, you got to have more picks involved than probably just that Pels pick. I'm
yeah.
assuming that they would
Oh
want
yeah,
probably 3 or 4.
yeah.
So um,
And Trae
one
Young too. I was just gonna
yeah.
add Trae Young too. Like, I know his trade value isn't what it used to be, but I still think there would be a team out there that would take him for at least 1 first and a
Hmm.
protected and then a protected. But that's an interesting trade for sure. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. He Dallin actually he texted us right after it happened and said that exact thing. And I thought about it and I was like, I'm not against it. I mean, like Atlanta, I don't know. Here's my question. I look at it from this perspective. I don't know if Giannis wants to go there. You know what I'm saying? Giannis
yeah,
wants to go to the coast or
hmm,
South Beach or New York. He
hmm,
wants to be on the coast. I,
hmm,
I don't even think he'd be open to a Texas team, like
yeah,
honestly. So it's like, okay, here he just said currently Atlanta owns the most favorable between the Bucks and the Pelicans pick this year.
yeah.
So it would by default go to the Bucks.
Well, I think if I think all the Bucks have to do is be better than the Pelicans, then they would potentially could have 2 lottery picks.
Okay.
So
Okay, gotcha.
yeah,
Interesting. Let
that's
me throw
enticing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is. Let me throw out another spot. I just said it, but South Beach. This is a team that can probably put the best picks package together in those coastal markets. I'm gonna
Yeah,
assume the
yeah,
Lakers don't have many picks. The Knicks are iffy on picks. Miami owns almost every future pick,
yeah.
and they have a really good roster right now.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on South Beach?
Um, from a pick perspective, I love it. From a player perspective, I'm not really that big of a fan of just because how to get the money work. You'll probably have to add
Okay.
Um, Jaime Jaquez, Kalel Ware,
Mm,
and then that's if you. I mean, you might be able to throw in Norman Powell, just depending how they feel about Norman Powell. But I think they would have to include. I mean, I don't think they're including Tyler Hero, right, or Bam Adebayo because
no
that would defeat
chance.
the purpose.
Yeah, no chance.
But Miami's very interesting from a team aspect too, because that is a team that knows how to win with less. So they might
Yeah.
not have the high names, but they're Miami. Like they could get some free agents in the
Yeah.
summer, and who doesn't want to live in Miami?
Yeah. I also look at I look at it from this as well. What was I gonna say? Uh looking at the Miami Heat roster, obviously, a lot of significant good role players, a lot of picks. But one of the things that stands out is they had a deal for Kevin Durant on the table that was honestly good to go. And I think they pulled out, correct?
Yeah,
So like, yeah, you look at it from that, like, if you have the chance to go get a guy like KD, I know that Giannis is obviously on a different tier at this point in his career, but I believe that there's a deal out there that Milwaukee would look at and say, you know what, let's do it.
right.
Because, and I don't think that's a place that Giannis would be like, you know what, I am not going there. I think he'd be down to go there. So I look at it from that as well. So that makes it really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a very interesting team. I think what's important too to know. I think just with Giannis in general, wherever he does end up going, if he does request a trade, the NASA's probably will go with him.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
No question.
so just like when you guys are building your trades out there, make sure you add the NASA's as a little money. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. Another team I do it. So we have Atlanta, which I like. We have Miami, and we have the Knicks. I think out of those three teams, realistically, where do you think Giannis wants to go? I think I know the answer, but
It's New York. I
yeah,
mean, like let's let's not sugarcoat it. Like it's New York.
yeah,
They were having talks for him this summer. He
hmm
has literally said he wants to go play here in person. Um, you know, I think in the East there's a lot of places. I want to flip to the West real quick.
okay,
So think of this. Um, here's a couple teams that would I could see him like from a fit perspective.
hmm
Number one, I think for me is Golden State.
mm,
Golden State would be crazy. I think
okay,
because they're in a position where they want to get one more before Steph Curry's golden years are over. Um, I truly don't know how the money works or the players works there, but from a fit perspective, like I've been hearing Giannis to the Warriors for so many years now. I've heard a lot of people today say San Antonio Spurs.
mm,
That would be otherworldly. I can't. I just pairing him with Wemby just doesn't seem fair. I feel like that's a
yeah,
that's a Adam Silver veto waiting to happen. But all jokes, of course. Those are two destinations I could think of.
yeah,
Um, obviously, like if he wants to go win, I heard someone say it today, like OKC. I mean, OKC could get him easily, but like
yeah,
they're not going to.
yeah,
They have zero need to go get Giannis.
right,
So it would have to be a pitch of like it would be crazy. There's no way they're going to get him. Some people said Dallas, including myself. I just from a pick perspective, I don't think that works.
right.
So maybe San Antonio, maybe Golden State. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so like just with the Golden State, they would have to include Draymond or Jimmy,
Most likely
which
Jimmy.
probably Jimmy. And then you're like, if you're Milwaukee, why
Mm-hmm.
do you want Jimmy? So like that's a question. Um, but I do love that fit, like Giannis, Curry pick and roll,
Good
Curry,
Lord.
Giannis pick and roll. Yeah, that'd just be insane. Um, what was your second one?
San Antonio.
San Antonio, I think at all the West teams has the best package. If you can get Stephon Castle or Dylan Harper with Keldon Johnson, and I think the Spurs have 4 first they could
Oh,
trade.
oh, please no.
I mean, use your imagination. Giannis and Wemby in the
I
back
don't
in the
want
front
to.
court,
I'd
like
rather. You know what? I'd rather not.
like
I'd rather
that
not.
is like and the Spurs are winning. They won again tonight. Fox has really found its footing. Dylan Harper's came a long way. I love Castle, but if you're getting Castle for Giannis and then some of your bench, you get to keep Vassell, who went off and single-handedly beat Denver the other night. You got Luke
Yeah.
Cornett, Kelly Olynyk up still, Harrison Barnes. Like, that's a team that's a couple more shooters away from being like, oh, OKC, what's up? Like, that's
Yeah.
very interesting just from the
Mm,
West. But at the same time, too, I'm like, if you're Giannis and you really want to win a championship, or if you at least want to get to the finals, don't come to the West. It's
no.
just
I mean, just don't do
I
it.
just wouldn't come to the West. And at the top of the show, we talked about like would he have a say? I think he would have a say where his destination. So I think it would have to take him just being like, oh, I want San Antonio, which I wouldn't blame him. Like I think if San Antonio got him, they'd probably be right up there with Denver automatically. Um, and Denver was my favorite to win the title this year.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna lie. Like Denver could easily be a threat. They're just like some nights they explode offensively, and then
mhm,
they're also dealing with a lot of injuries. Um, yeah, the San Antonio fit. It just doesn't make sense to my human mind.
yeah,
Thinking about Giannis suiting up in a Spurs jersey next to
yeah,
Wemby. I don't think there's a single team in the NBA that stands a chance against that when healthy, like at
yeah.
all. Ronnie said he wants to be in Chicago off the coast of Lake Michigan. Um, from a team perspective / like players perspective, it makes sense. Like Chicago's
Yeah.
got all these picks they can throw around, but from a Giannis perspective, I just don't see him wanting to live in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
But Bulls would be a great destination from a basketball fit. And
Yeah.
then here goes Dallin stirring the pot again. Giannis Thanasis to Minnesota for Randall, Naz Reid, Terrence Shannon, 2 firsts. Dog, could you
Minnesota.
imagine pairing Ant and Giannis together?
See,
Oh,
again, that's living in Minnesota, but yeah, I mean that would be absolutely insane, Anthony Edwards. I will say, out of all the like trades, I think I dislike the Minnesota one the most, just because Ant's not that he's gonna get his type thing first, and
okay.
then he'll pass. So from like a duo perspective, it's probably one of my least favorite ones. But back to the Spurs one real quick. I think the pace that they would play with too would be insane because you have downhill force of Giannis and Wemby and Fox. Like that is, and on the defensive side of the ball, that's a no-fly zone.
Oh,
It's
God.
interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Like I get OKC is like this big juggernaut, but there was like a way to stop them. It would be just
No.
overwhelming
OKC
size.
won't stop that.
It would be
No.
over because Chet. I love Chet to death, but Giannis and Wemby's just too much.
No.
Just too
Yeah.
much.
No
But yeah,
chance.
so talk to me about this Minnesota deal. What's your thoughts? I feel like the 2 firsts kind of don't mean a lot for
Yeah,
Minnesota, and then Randall. I like Reed, but
I think the thing with this deal, I think the only reason he would take this deal is because he gets to play with a superstar such as Anthony Edwards. I would say the same thing if he ends up in another city that's not on the coast. Like if he ended up in San Antonio, he would do it for winning. Um, I think the same thing applies here. I don't love it for the Timberwolves. I think they already sacrificed a good thing going when they had Karl Anthony Towns and they traded him away for Randall. I think that Minnesota team was really good. They just ran into a Dallas Mavericks team that got hot at the right time.
right.
Um, like I said, I have nothing against Julius Randle as a guy or as a player, but it's like, I just think Cat was a better fit on that basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at this now, um, you're giving up severe depth with Naz Reid. I think he's a great piece. And
Mm-hmm.
I 1000% seeing Gobert and Giannis on the floor together I don't want to see that at all.
Right.
I think that would be gross. I don't think that's worth watching.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow convince the Bucks to take Gobert, do it because you don't want Gobert and Giannis on this team together from a basketball fit. I just think that's not it. But I could see it potentially. But we'll see, I guess.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't want to watch Gobert and Giannis play together. For what it's worth, the Bucks did come back and win tonight against the Pistons.
Hey, there you go.
Even though, oh yeah, we didn't talk about it. Giannis had this injury tonight.
Yes, he did.
Take it for what it's worth. A lot of people said it looked like he was faking it. I'm not here to judge that at all, but I will say it was kind of scary because he didn't really react and he instantly was like, "Hey, come pick me up," and it was a little weird. What's your thoughts on Giannis potentially getting hurt the same day he kind of talks about requesting a trade and all this
Um,
up in the air? Like, is that a coincidence? What were your thoughts on it?
it's a coincidence. It's a calf
Okay.
strain.
Yeah.
I look at it from this way. I watched the film. The calf strain from 24 right before the playoffs literally went down the same way, had the same reaction, was coming up the court,
Yeah.
and he just falls.
Yeah.
So it's a calf strain. At first I thought it was an Achilles. I was like, because
Mhm.
he like looked behind him. Because a lot of things that like athletes say is when you have an Achilles injury, you feel like someone kicked you
Yeah.
in your calf. So he
Mhm.
like looked behind him. I was like, oh shoot, that's not good. So they say it's a calf strain. I believe him. If it was an
Mhm.
Achilles, we would know instantly.
Right.
So I think it's an injury. Now, let's say it wasn't, right?
Mhm.
Then that's a whole nother level of like a lot of people on Twitter were saying like it's a quote, get me the heck out of Milwaukee injury.
Yeah.
I was laughing at that. So if
Yeah.
that's the case, then it's like, look, trade him now. Like get
Right.
rid of him now if that's
Yeah.
the case. I'm not gonna believe that, but if that was the case, I'd be like, get him the heck out of Milwaukee. Like he does not want to be there. If he's faking injuries, like we gotta. That's a
Right.
whole nother issue. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just have too much. Like to me, it kind of looked like he was faking, but I just have too much pride, like Giannis as a person, for him to actually do that.
Yeah,
Regardless if his agent was like, if they're not going to trade us, we're going to play the hard way. Like, I don't think that's Giannis's
that's
motto.
not
So
Giannis. No.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Just say, hey, freak accident. What a coincidence. Um, I will say though, you brought up 2024. Um, he's had these calf injuries before, and it's not a coincidence that they tend to happen when Dame has to go down. When this year he's already been out with an extended period of time with a calf strain. He goes out tonight with a calf strain. What's your thoughts on like I know we're talking about Giannis getting traded, but and what he'll go for, but he's had a lot of calf issues these last couple years,
Yeah.
and I love Giannis the player, but he
Mhm.
has been hurt the last couple
Mhm.
playoffs. Like, is it worth it?
Um, Obviously he's 30,
Yeah,
so I think this is that period of time where there will be more injuries. I don't know a superstar in this league over 30 that is not dealing with injuries in the regular season.
right.
I mean, even LeBron James himself is dealing with injuries.
Yeah,
I want to look
he's
at this from a
40.
yeah, he's 40, but I want to look at this from like a broader perspective. I know Shams tweeted this out a little while ago that the league is doing league-wide testing
Mhm,
um, for medical staffs and just kind of like processes. This has always been my opinion. I think like his we've seen an influx in calf strains these past few years.
mhm,
Luca goes down with a calf strain last year, gets
yeah,
traded. Giannis has had 2 calf strains. Damian Lillard torn Achilles, Tyrese
mhm,
Halliburton torn Achilles, Jason Tatum torn Achilles.
all calf.
Calf strain for Wemby.
Mhm.
Calf strain for golly, second pick overall by the San Antonio Spurs. Good Lord,
Oh,
his name
Dylan
is escape.
Harper.
Dylan Harper. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Calf strain as well.
yeah. A lot of
We're
soft
seeing
tissue injuries.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of soft tissue injuries, specifically with the calf injury.
Yeah,
I think the only solution for this is number one, better training league wide. I think there needs to be more initiatives in place. And number two is obvious. We got to stop playing so many back to backs. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? I have I think I feel like since COVID, this has been a problem because the COVID season they only played, I believe it was like 65 games
yeah. It was
because they
yeah,
started at
something like
Christmas,
that.
so there wasn't that many back to backs. So we saw a huge dip in injuries that season, and now for these past 5 or so years, we've seen a lot more players resting on back to back. They designate it now as injury management.
Yeah,
So I think if we just limit it to like literally like you don't need 72 games instead of 82,
yeah,
that takes away 10 back-to-backs
yeah,
almost. So it's like you don't have to play many back-to-backs and that gives players the ability to be available and it also means that like competitiveness will go up across the league because
yeah,
you won't have these teams on the second night of a back-to-back losing every single time. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's just going to make the league more competitive.
Yeah,
That's my broad view on it. But let's focus on Giannis. Let's get back to the real issue. Yes, 2 calf strains, the 24 one, and then this one.
mhm,
Um, like I said, he's not aging. He's got a lot of good basketball left in him. I'm
right.
not concerned about that. But I truly just think this is a league wide issue, and I just think unfortunately he's caught in the middle. Excuse me for the motorcycle outside. I think this is a league wide issue more than it is just Giannis, but unfortunately he's caught in the crossfires with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this will hurt like his trade value or anything. I'm just saying I think it's something to think about. Like this isn't a 26-year-old superstar. Like this is a 30-year-old who has some miles on his body and just the way he plays. Like he plays with a lot of force. He probably gets fouled more than anyone else in the league. Like he's constantly hitting the floor. His whole game is predicated on his athleticism and getting downhill. So I'm
Yeah,
just I'm just thinking like 3 to 4 years from now, like when he starts to lose some of that, would that trade have been worth it?
so Mark Stein just reposted this. Tim Reynolds, who works for the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo is undergoing an MRI right now. Bucks coach Doc Rivers says the team expects to know results tonight.
Mm,
So that's a bad sign. Uh, Yikes.
yeah.
I
MRI,
think,
huh?
yeah, what that tells me is the calf strain is severe enough to where they could not wait till tomorrow. They didn't want to ice it. They just said we're going to do it now. So that's concerning.
That is very concerning. Because to me,
I don't rule out Achilles when I hear that.
yeah, I'm not going to rule out Achilles, and I'm also kind of quite curious why. Wow, I didn't know. I didn't think he needed an MRI.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's
Maybe,
Mark's
but
time to
I
see
will
those.
say MRI was probably precautionary too. Like,
Yeah, possibly.
I think a lot of players just get MRIs, but if this is something serious, like, and it does prevent him from playing some games this year, like when he comes back, like the Bucks roster, like I just they won the night, yeah, I get it, but they have not been good without him. And if he's out another extended period of time,
Yeah.
and if he doesn't get traded this season, the Hawks have their pick or the Pelicans. Like, oh, it's just a hell of a position to be in.
Yeah, I think we will post those results once they come out on our Twitter and Instagram. So I'll make sure to stay on top of that for you guys. Let us know if you're watching right now. I see we got 76 people in here right now. So if you have any other thoughts on the Giannis situation, any teams you want to throw out, go ahead and do so. We'd love to hear from you guys. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter as we continue this live stream. We'll go for a little while longer on this. We got a couple more things to talk about, but kind of moving forward with this, I think, we were talking about the soft tissue injuries for Giannis and kind of what that means going forward. What I want to move into right now is um, when we look at the balance of power in the
Mm.
Eastern and the Western Conference, do you think that like if Giannis lands on the right team in the Eastern Conference, they can shift the balance of power in the Eastern Conference? Like teams, what I'm saying is like, will teams be more willing to go out and spend to possibly poach from the West so they can compete with a team that grabs Giannis? Can the
Yeah,
balance of power be tipped?
no, I think so, 100%. Because even before all this Giannis stuff kind of became a reality today, I was thinking to myself, I think this is the most open East I've seen in years. And for teams like the Detroits, the even the Raptors, the Hawks, like teams that are the Magic, teams that are off to like decent starts that haven't been good in years past. Like, this is a year you're kind of looking around like, I'm not really afraid of Cleveland. Hey, the Knicks are good. Why can't we be this year's Pacers? You know what I mean? So you're
Mm-hmm.
looking around. There's not this juggernaut like the Celtics were. There's not this juggernaut when Bronze Cavs were there. Like, a lot of teams are saying, why not us? Like, you get the right matchup, you get the right luck, like why not? So I think if Giannis, so from your point, if Giannis does get traded and he continues to be the East, depending where he goes, like if Giannis went to anywhere in the East that wasn't the Knicks, I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks made another trade to try to
Yeah.
get even better because they
Yeah.
realize, oh, we didn't get the big fish. We still got to get better because that team just got that much better.
Do you have the Eastern Conference standings pulled up?
Yeah.
I thought I saw the one point. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings right now because it's funny. The East is actually doing better than the West.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the seeding, it's like the West is way more top heavy this year than the East is, which is kind of interesting. So I guess we're kind of already seeing that balance of power take shape. But okay, we got it now. So let's see. Yeah, man, what is this like? 2006? What is this? Okay. Anyways, looking at this, yeah, I think we were talking about this earlier today too. Orlando is
hmm
another spot that would make a lot of sense. Orlando, which would scare a lot of people.
Paulo.
Atlanta would scare a lot of people.
hmm
Um, there's no way Boston could pull off a trade of this magnitude, right? No chance.
I mean, they could. It would have to include Jalen Brown, which
Yeah.
which is kind of
Um,
scary. Like from a pure
yeah.
talent perspective, I don't think they'll get a better player than Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I
He won't go
mean?
to Washington. He won't go to Indiana. I've heard Brooklyn in the past, to be honest with you. I have heard
Uh,
that. You could kind of pencil them in. They've got so many picks to throw around. Charlotte, he's not going there. I don't think he's going to Chicago. Obviously, he's on the Bucks.
Mhm.
Philadelphia is in no way, shape, or form. Hang on.
They've ruled out an Achilles injury.
I thought it said Achilles injury. That scared
me
me.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, Mark Stein just posted. Doc Rivers tells us that he thinks the Bucks have ruled out an Achilles injury for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So they're just
Yeah.
looking at a calf strain. So now it's just going to come down to, is it a grade 1, 2, or 3, which will
Right.
determine how long he's out.
Just precautionary with the MRI and all that. So
Yeah. Toronto, I don't think would want to trade for him. No way. Giannis goes to Canada. I don't think Detroit. Maybe Detroit. Yeah, when I look at this list, the teams that stand out are 3, 4, and 5. Miami, New York, Orlando, and then I think you could throw in Brooklyn there just because that's in the New
I
York
don't think
area.
Brooklyn.
You don't see Brooklyn?
Only because they're not ready to win now or in 3 or in 4 or in 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, but Detroit, I do think Detroit, I mean, they are a Lowry team. I don't see why they couldn't be a Giannis team. Like the shooting would be awful, but I think you figure that out on the back half. Like you want to talk about a pick and roll partner. You have Jalen Duren in the dunker spot with pick and roll of Giannis and Cade. Like that's super interesting. You got Duncan Robinson. You're 2 more shooters. Like I don't know what the package would look like because Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser. I don't know. You got Tobias Harris is an expiring, which the Bucks might value.
I think looking at this, also like if he goes to a team that's not named New York, I mean that team instantly becomes a giant free agent destination. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Knicks are in any position to sign big free agents. We have another comment here. Giannis to the Warriors. Yeah, we've kind of touched on that if you weren't watching. They'd probably have to give up Jimmy Butler in order to do so, and or Draymond Green. It'd be an interesting fit.
They'd probably give up Jimmy. Kuminga would probably have to be in the deal. But I think what the Bucks would be after would be the 4 picks that the Warriors have, and you're betting on that post Steph area for them to just be awful, and probably would work out. So.
What else?
Yeah, the Pistons. Yeah, so the Pistons, Raptors. Yeah, but yeah, to your point though, like when we talk about the best teams, the best players in the East, I mean, the best player in the East this year, probably's been Giannis, and the second probably is Cade. So if you're the Pistons, you're like, hey, 2 years ago we lost 23 straight games in a row. Like we were the laughing stock. Like this, maybe we should try to go all in. We're on a hot start. Count your chips in because to be honest with you, if the Pistons got Giannis, I think they would run the East. I think they'd
100%. I
mean, because they almost beat the Knicks last year without him.
They're already doing it, and like I said, I think if the Pistons win that series, I think they also have a decent chance in the next one because Boston was playing very bad basketball.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I wouldn't have ruled that out. I thought going into the playoffs, I was like, this Pistons team is going to beat the Knicks. They just had some unfortunate end of game scenarios, but yeah, they would run the East instantly. I mean, like they're already doing it right now. So I think that'd be a fantastic fit. But again, the question is, does Giannis want to go to Detroit? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right, Hassan. We got Keep, Dre, Drop, Jimmy, Pods, Moody, and Jay. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
great player haul.
Yeah, it's a great player haul. You can easily flip. I don't know about easily flip Jimmy because he is making about $55 million. That's an interesting case. But if you get Pods, Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga, that's a really good core for a semi-rebuild. And then, to be honest with you, if you wanted to flip any of those players, you probably could again. So, but pretty good haul. And then he said, get my boy Steph another ring. Yes, we know you're a Warriors fan.
I would love to get Steph one more because watching him win that last one without Kevin Durant and doing it himself basically with Poole and the gang, like that was special. So
and it was him too. You know what I mean? It was him. Like
yeah.
I still don't know, but I will say if the trade package is all those players, like what do you have left? You got 38-year-old Steph, 36-year-old Draymond, and Giannis. Like you don't have a lot of depth, and I feel like with all these teams, what they have to ask themselves: how did Indiana get to the finals? It's because they're 10 deep, 11 deep. How did OKC
Hmm.
win the finals? They're 12, 15 deep. Like every single player could play in a finals game, and I feel like when these teams are trying to put these teams together and you're trying to make all these trades, like you have to remember you still need a team at the end of the day after the big trade. And the days of, hey, we got three of the best players, that's over with. You need depth. The amount of pace that's played in today's game just to get through the regular season is impossible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also think like when you look at like team building, right? One
Hmm.
of the things I've always harped on is how Phoenix built the Kevin Durant team. They said, we're going to trade away the role players that got us to the finals in order to star hunt, right?
Yeah.
So they traded away McCall. They traded away who else? Who else went in that deal? I
Cam
remember. Yeah,
Johnson
they
and
trade. They
like
traded
four
McCall,
picks.
Cam, all those picks, and then they found themselves with three superstars and no one to go around them. So
Hmm.
I think that's also why the New York Knicks have to be very careful if they make a deal for Giannis because you don't want to make yourself so top heavy you can't compete.
Right.
That's why I think if he goes to like an underrated team like the Pistons, or
Hmm.
even if he says, I want to go play in Brooklyn, like
Yeah.
Brooklyn would become an instant free agent destination and they have a lot of cap space to make moves. So
Or
that's why I would say a team like that.
he could go to a team like that hasn't paid their superstar yet, like the Spurs, and is on a rookie deal.
I
And
kid you not, like if that
because
news
they would
breaks,
still have cap space after
they
Giannis.
would.
So I mean that's the scariest thing. Like they could add Giannis still. I mean probably not win the finals this year, but come summer, like hey, we got $15 million in cap space. We got signed this shooter, this shooter. Hey, De'Aaron Fox, let's go. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Year two, Dylan Harper. Year four, Wemby. Like that's enticing. We got no,
dang. Yeah. I just don't even want to. I don't even want to think about it. I keep on saying it. Like it would be done. The West would be done. Like
yeah,
it would be if they're healthy. Of course, the West would be wraps. It would
yeah.
be complete wraps. We got another one here. Yeah. Dallin has another trade package for us. So Giannis to Detroit with Tobias, Karras, Jaden, and picks.
Yeah, from a talent
Mm,
perspective, I mean,
good
the only
grade.
thing you're coveting is Jaden Ivey, probably if you're the Bucks. Tobias is expiring is cool because then you could sign some more free agents in the summer. You could be a cap space team. And then the picks, like how many picks are we talking, Dallin? Is it like 3 to 4? I think when we
It has
talked
to be.
about them with Lowry, it was about 3 to 4. So yeah, from a pick perspective, they're probably the best overall team. And from the Pistons, like based off this deal, you keep Asar Thompson, Jenkins, uh, who else? Duran, who's having a damn near all-star year. Now
Hmm.
that's a clunky
He's been
fit, kind
so
of
good.
Duran and Giannis, but I think it would work just because they're pretty versatile.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's interesting. I like Detroit a
Hmm.
lot. I like the Detroit move. And then one of my favorites, I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, is Indiana. They have 4 firsts to trade. Hallie's out for the year, but hey, you got four
Yeah.
firsts. You get Obi Toppin, you get Siakam. I don't
Oh
know,
boy.
but
Yeah, I think if your goal is to pair a healthy Hallie with Giannis, I mean that's not a bad goal at all. You have to keep Nemhard. You can't trade
you have to
Nemhard.
keep them hard. You have to.
Yeah, I feel like Obi, Walker, maybe Siakam. I'd even say him too because Siakam is Mr. Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So you got to be
Yeah.
careful there too. I won't give you flack for it. I think it's a interesting. I think it's an interesting deal if it were to come together. Last call, everybody. We got about 5 minutes left. So if you have any other trade destinations, we can go ahead and break them down real quick. Uh,
Cleveland? What's your thoughts on Cleveland?
um, I'm the biggest Cleveland hater because they can't perform in the playoffs. So I mean, if Giannis wants to go there and elevate them, I wouldn't be against it. I think they have a lot of guys they can trade. They spent a lot of time in purgatory waiting for this team to come together, and then they made the deal
Right.
for Mitchell. So you have the pieces to get it done. How do I feel about Jarrett Allen and Giannis on the floor together? Not great.
Oh,
I think
so
it's
Mobley would be the one going out.
oh Is there how much five has Giannis played in his career?
He closed a lot at 5 during that championship run.
Could you see him and Mobley on the floor together? That's my
I
question.
I think defensively that's amazing. I don't know if Mobley. I think Mobley shoots just barely enough threes. He would have to improve that a
Yeah.
lot more, but I think defensively it gets interesting. And then like if you're the Bucks, like you get Garland, like
Yeah, I think
that's interesting.
based on those conversations, I think they take a step back if they do that
Yeah.
trade because Mobley's ascending. I think Garland is amazing too.
Hmm.
I think you possibly take a step back if you do that deal. Now, that's no knock on Giannis. I think that's just from a roster development perspective. Um, you you may be sacrificing in areas you don't want to because if the Bucks get Mobley, that's perfect for them.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's like that reminds me a lot of like Mikal Bridges to Brooklyn. It's just a guy that
Hmm.
can go there and thrive. I think that's what Mobley would do because he's so good.
Right.
So I think that the Bucks would be like clapping, like they that front office. I would salute them if they were able to get Mobley from Cleveland. But that's an interesting one.
And then the final team that has just been on my mind just because they've been so open about, talking was the Rockets. Like they purposely didn't give up everything for Kevin Durant for a deal like Giannis. So they didn't give up Jabari, Reed Shepard, um,
Mm.
Tari Eason, who's kind of been unhappy quietly, but he's injured now, so it hasn't, caused anything.
Um. Hmm. Does Shengun go bye bye?
See, and that's where I was torn at. I was like, if you
Yeah.
trade Chengun, you're saying this is it. Like
Yeah.
post Katie, this is all in, and
I don't
I
think
don't feel fully comfortable.
no. I speak for all Houston fans when I say yeah, I don't think you deal Shengun. Do I think that those two fit together offensively? I think it's better than most of the non-stretch bigs that I've mentioned. I
Hmm.
think it could work because Shengun can decently stretch the floor. I think it's doable.
Yeah,
As far as what they would give out, Amen's off the table, Katie's off the table, and
right.
Shengun's off the table. So then you have
Yeah.
to ask yourself, like, what does that leave you with? And my answer is low key, not much.
So if
So
you got Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, um,
does Houston want to give up Reed though?
I think they would for Giannis.
Yeah,
I think they. I think as
he's been
long as they,
playing
if
great
they were
ball.
able to keep Amen and if they were able to keep Amen and Shengun, I think that's a home run. Like I don't even think
Yeah.
that's close. Oh,
Y-
Kenseth,
Um,
Giannis to the Knicks for Randall, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. Well, Kenseth, Randall, and RJ Barrett aren't on the Knicks anymore. RJ's
yeah.
on the Raptors and Randall's on the Timberwolves. So
Well, yeah. I think we'll scrap that one right
yeah,
there. Thanks for tuning in though, bro.
yeah,
Ronnie
appreciate you,
says
Kenseth.
Yeah, Ronnie says talk about Portland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no chance he would want to go there, but I mean like from a basketball perspective, they could 100% make a deal for Giannis. I could
yeah.
so see that cuz they have picks to throw around. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean they got picks, but that's just one of those teams. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Um, they don't have enough shooting, and I feel like trying to find like their own identity in itself. Like Scoot Henderson isn't the best player on that team like they thought they would be. And Denny Advia is like an all star this year. Probably will make the all star team. Um, interesting though. Interesting. Portland. I hadn't thought about Portland at all. So
Mm,
yeah.
interesting. Um, you got anything else to add?
No, the only thing I got to say is like he hasn't publicly came out and said he's requesting a trade. So I think
Mhm.
for all this noise and what we're talking about, these are all just hypotheticals. So until um or when Giannis does publicly come out and say he wants to stay in Milwaukee or get traded, like it's just all unknown, right? But
Mhm.
I do feel like this is the realest it's ever felt. He's pouted. He's been a diva about it year after year. They got him Holiday. They got him Dame. Now they're out of assets. And now it's like I think he sees the writing on the wall. So for me, yes, this is probably the realest it'll happen. It kind of sucks, that Giannis didn't do this during the summer because a lot more. It's just easier to trade in the summer, from a multitude of perspective. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're in for a wild couple of months, honestly. I think when the formal trade request comes out, which I think it's inevitable at this point, um, that's when we can truly find out which teams are going to want to get involved. We really don't
Yeah,
know much today. But when Shams tells me this team, that team, that team, that's when I'll be like, okay, then we can come on here and put together some actual like trades in the trade machine and really
all right.
talk about making this happen. But I think this is setting us up for another wild trade deadline because Giannis is not
Yeah,
the only star that may be set to be dealt.
yeah,
So I think as it's been for the past 3 or 4 years, I mean, it's just like um, we're gonna get a lot of movement. So
yeah.
okay, Kenseth is gonna try to redeem himself, and then we're gonna close this room up for the night. He says Giannis to the Knicks for Cat Brunson and whoa.
No, they wouldn't give up Brunson.
Oh, hey,
They
you know
wouldn't give
what?
up Brunson.
You know what? You got the right players this time. I just
Yeah,
don't think Jalen Brunson's off the table. That's
yeah,
all I would say on that. But Cat and Robinson, two very good trade candidates for that. Um, Ja,
yeah.
anything else?
No, I don't hate that. I mean, last thing I'd just say too, yeah, if he does request the trade, he probably won't get traded till at least December 15th, just because that's when everybody that signed over the summer, they become trade eligible. And then some of those players are also January 15th. So this could be one of those, 2, 3, 6 week processes before something actually is definitive. So we'll be here. We'll be breaking it all down. It's gonna be a crazy trade deadline, like you said, between Giannis now, potentially John Morant, LaMelo Ball, Trey Young. Like this is looking to be one of the
Yeah,
best trade deadlines again, which is crazy to
I
even
know.
think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got anything else to add?
I don't. I guess we'll kind of just do a few announcements, I guess. We will have an episode coming out on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah,
We're planning on just doing another Around the League episode. We're going to pick some teams and talk about them, just kind of the teams that are on the up and up right now. Probably we'll get into what's going on out west. OKC is just ascending. And then in the east, you've got obviously Detroit is killing it. And then, Orlando and Miami continue to ascend along with the Knicks kind of sitting there.
yeah,
So we'll pick some teams and talk about them. And we got that coming. Also, if you're in here, if you've never been to the warm up live stream or watch a video before, please go subscribe on our YouTube, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter for the best of the best. And that's all I got. What do you got, Joe?
yeah. That's all I got. Appreciate you guys for all joining today. For all the updates, we'll go live if anything crazy happens. All the trades, we'll be here breaking it down. I appreciate you guys leaving your comments today. If you guys are new, please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys never miss when we go live and all the other videos. I appreciate you guys again for joining today, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace and stay safe.
Adios.